I never imagined a moment so simple could unravel everything. My name is Claire, and this is the story of the night my secret life came crashing down, all because of one innocent encounter. It began on a quiet weekend evening. I had just returned from a long day, the weight of my choices heavy on my shoulders. I thought I had hidden my secrets well, crafted a facade so convincing that no one would suspect the truth. But as I sank into bed that night, exhaustion overtaking me, I never anticipated that my nephew would be the one to uncover everything. Earlier that day, my sister had called, asking if her son, Liam, could stay over while she handled a last-minute emergency. Liam was 17, sharp, observant, and far too perceptive for his age. Of course, I said yes, not thinking twice about it. I had always been the fun, laid-back aunt, and he loved spending time at my place. By the time Liam arrived, I had already settled into a routine of pretending everything in my life was perfectly normal. Dinner was casual, filled with his chatter about school and sports. I laughed at his stories, masking the unease bubbling beneath my surface. As the evening wore on, I excused myself to my room, leaving Liam to his video games. But I underestimated him. Around midnight, I drifted into a deep sleep, my mind clouded by dreams and the lingering guilt of my double life. That's when it happened. The door to my bedroom creaked open. Faint footsteps padding across the carpet. I stirred slightly, thinking it was just a passing dream, until I felt a presence near the bed. Claire? Liam's voice was hesitant, almost a whisper. I bolted upright, heart racing as I registered his silhouette in the dim light. "What's wrong?" I asked, trying to steady my voice, though panic began to set in. I thought I heard something," he said, his eyes darting around the room. But there was something in his expression, confusion, maybe even suspicion, that made my stomach drop. He wasn't just looking for reassurance. He was piecing together something I had tried so hard to keep hidden. I followed his gaze to the dresser, where a photograph sat tilted at an odd angle. It wasn't just any photo. It was one I had hastily tucked away, but not well enough. The image showed me with someone I had no business being with, captured in a moment far too intimate to be explained away. "Who's that?" Liam asked, his tone shifting from curious to pointed. My mind raced, searching for an answer that wouldn't unravel everything. "Just an old friend," I lied, but even as the words left my mouth, I knew he didn't believe me. He walked over, picking up the frame and studying it closely. "This doesn't look like just a friend," he said, his voice steady but laced with something that made me feel exposed. "Does Aunt Sarah know about this?" My breath caught. Liam's mother, my sister, was the last person I wanted finding out about my secret. "Liam, listen," I started, stepping toward him. But he held up a hand to stop me. "Does Uncle James know?" he asked, his words cutting deeper than I expected. The weight of my betrayal hung in the air between us, suffocating and inescapable. I opened my mouth to respond, but no sound came out. How could I explain something even I struggled to justify? The silence was deafening. Liam shook his head, placing the photo back on the dresser. "I can't believe you," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "You've always been the one who told me to do the right thing, to be honest. And this?" I felt tears well up, but I forced them back. "It's complicated," I said, my voice cracking. "You're too young to understand." "Maybe," he said, turning to leave. "But you're old enough to know better." The door clicked shut behind him, leaving me alone with my thoughts, my guilt, and the undeniable truth that my life would never be the same. The next morning, the tension was palpable. Liam avoided eye contact as he packed his things, his usual chatter replaced by a heavy silence. I wanted to say something, to explain myself, but no words felt adequate. As he walked out the door, he turned back to me, his expression unreadable. "You should tell them," he said simply, "before someone else does." And with that, he was gone. leaving me to grapple with the fallout of my actions. The photograph, the secrets, the lies, they were no longer mine to control. My carefully constructed facade had crumbled, and I was left standing in the wreckage, wondering how I would ever make things right. That day, I tried to bury myself in routine, but the weight of Liam's words lingered. I knew he was right. I couldn't keep running from the truth. But every time I picked up the phone to call my sister or my husband, fear paralyzed me. What would they think? Would they ever forgive me? Days turned into weeks, and I found myself avoiding family gatherings, making excuses to stay away. But Liam's silence was louder than any confrontation. He hadn't told anyone, yet, but his disapproval was a constant reminder of my betrayal. I couldn't escape it. One evening, my sister showed up unannounced. "Claire, we need to talk," she said, her tone firm but concerned. My heart sank. Had Liam told her? Was this the moment everything fell apart? "I've been worried about you," she continued. "You've been so distant lately. Is everything okay?" I hesitated, torn between the urge to confess and the fear of losing everything. "I'm fine," I lied. But the words felt hollow. She gave me a long, searching look. "Claire, you're my sister. Whatever it is, we can handle it together." Her kindness was too much. Tears spilled over. And before I knew it, the truth came pouring out. The affair, the lies, the photograph, everything. I braced myself for her anger, her disappointment, but instead, she pulled me into a hug. "I'm not saying what you did was right," she said softly, "but we all make mistakes. What matters is how you move forward." Her forgiveness was a lifeline, but it didn't absolve me of the consequences. I still had to face my husband, to own up to my betrayal and accept whatever came next. And I had to mend my relationship with Liam, who had seen me at my worst and still believed I could be better. The road ahead was daunting, but for the first time in weeks, I felt a glimmer of hope. The facade had crumbled, but maybe, just maybe, something stronger could be built in its place.